Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to MindShifters Radio with your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife, Jeannie. Michael and Jeannie share with you the wisdom of the ancient Aramaic internal process of forgiveness. They offer tools and support 5 days a week. They will support you in building a solid foundation within yourself to live in pure love. In Aramaic, Rachma. Michael is the author of So Why Is This Happening to Me Again? For more information on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. And now your co-host, the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael and Jeannie Ryce.
To the brightness within you and the truth that is rooted within me.
Hi, and welcome to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce. Our calling number is 646-200-4169. Press 1, that puts you in queue to talk. We'd love to hear from you. Today we have Ari on the line with us. That's our chef from Chicago, and he is already with us. But first, welcome, Michael. Michael.
Delighted to be here. Welcome, everybody, to the show. It's an honor to be here to support you in the process of learning forgiveness and all the other things that go along with it. We have an invitation that we put out every day, and that is that you become part of the team that changed the world by assisting in eliminating the cause of war, which most people say, well, how could I do that? I'm just one person. Well, have you ever been at war with anybody? You ever wanted to go to war with anybody? I mean, even if it's just with your words or your thoughts or your looks or your tone of voice. Well, here's the gig. Here's what we're inviting you to do. Forgiveness has got nothing to do with letting other people off the hook because there's some form of frustration or pain inside of you. Forgiveness in the ancient Aramaic is the tool with which you go inside yourself and remove the source of your pain. And so we invite you, if there's some place in your world where you have some form of hostility or fear, to be willing to consider forgiveness, to learn how to go inside yourself and delete your pain, rather than rail against everybody else who you pretend is the cause of your pain. So if there's pain inside of you, you're experiencing because there's pain inside of you. If you apply forgiveness, you remove the pain that's inside of you. That's all. And when you do that, the reason for all war will begin to disappear from planet Earth. If we can get enough people, the man named Yeshua 2,000 years ago, the physicist Yeshua said, a little leavening leavens the whole loaf. All we need is a small number of people who are willing to live as true human beings. And, of course, we define a human being very easily. It's an experiential definition. Hold a newborn child, you know exactly what human life is. And so we invite you to achieve a human life by forgiving everything in you that's unlike your human life. If you are not familiar with how that process might work, then we invite you to go to our website, www.whyagain.com. It's whyagain.com. And on the right-hand side, there's a link that says Download Worksheet. That site is going to change significantly, maybe this week. I'm not sure. We're on our way up to do some work on the site with some friends up in High Springs who volunteered to come forward and help us to revamp and put some new technology on this site. So it's going to have a whole new look. Things are going to look a little different. The link for forgiveness will be prominent, but it will be in a different place than under Download Worksheets, or at least the place where it is now. So go to that link, and on the as you click on that link, the first 7 links will give you the whole forgiveness story and the whole how-to. And so we invite you to move into the how-to of forgiveness, start to change the content of your mind. And that's what we're here to support. And one of the pieces in doing that puzzle is that one has to give up one's drugs in order to truly heal themselves. You can't drug yourself and be healed. You can't function as a full human being and keep drugging yourself. Imagine you've got an awesome new Ferrari and you enter the race with the emergency brake on. Probably not going to win. And most people who are going around drugging themselves, whether their drug is hostility, rage, whether their drug is some kind of substance, be it alcohol, be it pot, be it legal or illegal drugs, whether it's poor choices in food, junk food, white bread, nutrition-free food. That interesting that the purpose of food is not to fill your stomach. The purpose of food is to put nutrients into your structure. And so our focus for today's show, we have this awesome privilege of, and we could easily call him Dr. Ari because his food knowledge is legend. As a matter of fact, Ari, maybe we should be supporting you in getting your doctorate in food information because you are such a wealth of information. And
I don't know if there is such a thing, actually.
Ari is with us, and we're preparing at Heartland to do our opening session starting on July the 12th, and the session will be called Food, Fun, Forgiveness, and Work. It's kind of an economy program at Heartland, and for $750, you can come for 10 days. You can eat this awesome gourmet food, and normally we do all fresh and raw, but we're going to do some pretty fabulous cooked items, and that's one of the things we want to talk about is what we'll be doing with cooked and raw and comparing them and such. And so we'll be doing that, and the reason why that's important to healing is because if you are nutritionally deficient, if you are minerally bankrupt, then I don't care what and how deeply you want to heal the issues that you have, your system can't conduct the energy that needs to be conducted without proper mineralization, without proper vitamins, minerals, and vitality. So we're going to talk a little bit about food and what we'll be doing at the Food, Fun, and Forgiveness. That'll be our first 10 days, July 12th to 21st. Then we'll actually have a day off, and the next day we'll start into a 9-day Why Is This Happening to Me Again? Residential intensive. And the morning that we finish that, in the evening of that morning, we will begin a 9-day teacher's training. So we've got 28 days lined up, awesome time at Heartland. If you're interested in taking your work to the next level or having a deeper experience of the forgiveness process, we invite you to come and join us. Our call-in number is 646-200-4169. We've been talking all week about Ari being with us, and we'd love to have your food questions. And so, Jeannie, is Dr. Tim on the phone? Is David on the phone?
David's not, Tim is, and Ari's already with us.
Okay, and any of the Heartland crew there?
I don't know. There's one person has their hand up. It's area code 336. I don't know if that's a Heartlander or not until I turn them on.
I don't know, but let's welcome Dr. Tim, and then we'll get Ari on the line, and then we'll open the lines up. So, Dr. Tim, welcome. You're up there in Chicago with Ari, but we get to get him in a few weeks when he comes to Heartland. So, how's Dr. Tim?
Doing beautifully, thank you. Having a fabulous Monday after a great Father's Day. Got to see both my boys and actually go fishing with them. It was a great privilege.
Fabulous.
And just having a wonderful time doing the work. Is Ari there?
I'm here.
Hello,
Hello?
Ari.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I'm here. So what kind of fish did you catch?
Almost exclusively largemouth bass.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a weekend of fishing that unlike any I've had in my life. So there was a 4-hour period on Saturday where I only made 5 different casts that didn't have a bite or a fish on the end of the hook.
So do you need a recipe for fixing it?
Recipes for fish. No, this was all catch and release, so they'll be there to play with other people later.
Well, that's a nice thing.
Yep.
And that would have been a lot of fish.
That was a lot of fish. Way too much for 4 or 5 people to eat.
Yes. Well, very fabulous, and I'm glad you had a good weekend with your boys. I got to hang out on the phone, as Jeannie did, with the kids a little bit, and, everybody's doing their own lives and in different parts of the country. So we didn't get to physically spend it with them, but we're rolling along. We did have a really awesome week here in Boca Raton and up in Lake Worth. It was interesting. We flew in last Saturday and had nothing scheduled, and it's interesting. It's really awesome to watch what a couple of committed people can do, because there were 2 people that were, Michael, we really want something to happen while you're here. Would you do some workshops if we can set them up? And so on Saturday we landed about 4 in the afternoon, called both folks, and there's nothing. And by Monday night, we had a group of folks, about 50 people, in someone's home that we spoke to about why is this happening to me again. And Tuesday we're off, and Wednesday we had a support group of Michael and Margaret here in Boca, and there were about, 25 or so people there. It was really a fun evening. There was a lady who was walking by with her dog and was attracted to the energy and pulled right in, sat there for about an hour and a half, and finally said, well, I need to run, I need to go. And about 3 minutes later, her husband was at the door. I want to know what you're doing. What is this? And so that was kind of fun. And then we had a small group. Patricia started a group down in Lake Worth. And so congratulations, Patricia. And we had half a dozen people there. Small but mighty group starting to build. And then we had in Fort Lauderdale, right. And then we had about 40 people on Friday night for a Y workshop. And people just started jumping in that they wanted to breathe. And so we had 28 breathers on Saturday. So we had a full house for breathing. It was an awesome happening. And we were supposed to get on the road the next morning, and we were just like, we took the day off and went to the beach and got together with Michael and Margaret and did a movie and had dinner. So we're ready to rock and roll. We're actually sitting at a restaurant right now. We're going to catch some lunch and then start driving for High Springs. So, Ari, say hello and tell us what the game is, what your plan is.
Well, as I said last time, I don't necessarily have a plan. I think a lot of it will be driven by what we get and, what people would like to see. But my plan is just to showcase absolutely fabulous vegan food and compare it to regular food, raw food, just to see the differences of what you can do. Most things in life they can be vegan. We don't think that way, but the reality of it is, if you count up the numbers of fruits and vegetables and rice and grains and everything there is to offer on the planet, it's by far more than proteins that we normally consume. I'm not speaking of microscopic bugs and stuff like that, but of the proteins we consume, it's 100 times more grains and vegetables than the several proteins that we normally put on a plate. And we are going to showcase the grains, the vegetables. We'll go into some historic stuff about food, about the mother grains that are very alkalining, millet, test, spelt, quinoa, and just go into food and kind of how it works and the alkaline acid balance and things along those lines. So it'll be a lot of food, some education, maybe a lot of education, who knows, and a lot of fun. So that's kind of what's on the agenda.
Well, Ari, if you're around, there's going to be a lot of education. I know that already because you just never stop spouting awesome information about food when you're there.
Yeah, I kind of have that tendency. And as I said on the last show a little bit, that we're going to be going into some nice vegan barbecue to bring in, char, smoky taste with all sorts of Greek delicacies, roasted red peppers and fine olive oil with sprinkled oregano. And then we'll do some roasted and smoked and you cuisine on it, so it's like Parmesan cheese, cauliflower, and you sprinkle that on top of the roasted eggplant with the oregano and the olive oil, a little bit of maybe Himalayan sea salt, and you got yourself, something absolutely fabulous with some toasted, really nice whole grain bread to sop up all the juices of the roasted peppers, and it has like the sweet seed taste with the really nice olive oil. So little things like that. I plan to do some tapas, so we'll have little plates so people will be able to taste a lot of different little things. And people are going to learn how to do all this. It's going to be hands-on, hands-in, and hearts in, of course. When we're cooking, we got to always have a little heart. So
absolutely.
So it's going to rock and roll.
Cool. Well, I did some research on the black rice, and the most common story I could find on it is that in China, only the emperors were allowed to eat it, and that's why it was called black rice or called forbidden rice. And so we just ordered 25 pounds of it, so there'll be lots of forbidden rice, and it was just really awesome stuff to work with. It's fabulous tasting. So that'll be fun to integrate into the whole thing.
That'll be fun, yeah, absolutely.
And it went really well in the nori rolls when we did that. So, and people always love to learn how to do those. But all the foods you just described, I want to know what time's dinner.
Well, I don't think we're going to be
fabulous.
Seeing you on the 21st, but yeah, I mean, as I said, if you go to a good Italian restaurant and look at the antipasta platter, most, I mean, you can get a meat tray too, but if you look at their antipastas, they're all sorts of intricate, beautiful grilled eggplants and vegetables with fresh herbs sprinkled on top, you know, in either a lush olive oil or a walnut oil or hazelnut oil, you know, with a little squeeze of on the side lemon, or if we'll get Meyer lemon, so you have that nice little lemony orange taste. And we'll go through the, you know, steps of marinating and why lemon works. Why does lemon, you know, cook? It's which, you know, I've told that story many times. It's nature's first microwave. It's one of the only fruits that you could put under a microscope and it actually works. It spins against the axis. Everything spins with the earth except for the lemon. It goes in reverse. So it actually bombards the particles, and the acid combined with the bombardment actually cooks it. And thus, that's how the kale recipe works, through fermentation and actually nature's, we could call it nature's microwave, but I don't know that those terms belong in the same sentence. And just stuff like that. So, yeah, no, I think it'll be exciting. It's also very colorful. You get so much bold and beautiful color out of the different foods and vegetables that you don't get when you're eating brown, which is kind of the color of most of the brown's tan of our proteins.
Absolutely.
Sounds fabulous. Well, it looks like we've got a couple of callers. Let's see what their questions are for you, Ari.
Okay, shoot.
Our first caller is area code 352. You're on the air. Who do we have and where are you calling from?
Hello, this is Lenore from Heartland. Just listening to Ari, my mouth is watering over here. I'm really excited to meet you. I have lots of, I want to learn lots because being a vegan now and mostly raw, I need some more info.
Well, we'll certainly be able to fulfill that.
Pardon?
No question. I said we certainly will be able to fulfill more info.
Yeah.
I mean, I've started my list already. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, another one that I think is always been a what I call dinner winner, which it always was a dinner winner, is wonton shells stuffed with red peppers and rice and sliced avocado, and then just flash fried. So the avocado becomes creamy and oozy and creates that wonderful sauce and the contrast of the avocado cream mixed with the peppers, and we'll throw in some raw diced green onion inside so that you get a little crunch. You know, it's just going to be fabulous. And then we'll whip up some kind of, you know, a really hot kind of spicy wasabi, toasted sesame seed oil, and ginger sauce for dipping. So little stuff like that.
Lenore, you're going to learn more about food than you ever thought was possible. It's going to be a fun week.
That is because, you know, I want to take it back to my daughters. You know, we're Italian, so food is everything.
Right. Mm-hmm. So do you have any specific thoughts or questions for Ari? Are you running into any unusual things at Heartland with the food program that you have any questions for Ari?
Okay. Hello, everyone. This is Joanne at Heartland, and
I have a question, Ari.
Yeah,
some
sure,
years
sure.
ago. I beg your pardon. What did you say?
Go ahead.
Oh, great. I'm wondering if you have a recipe you would share with us for raw potato salad. I used to make it some years ago, and it was exceedingly delicious, and we would like to have some here. Do you have one?
I usually don't do a raw. If I'm doing a raw potato salad, I don't usually use white potato. I use sweet potato.
Would you share the recipe with us? Is that possible?
Well, yeah. I mean, basically, it's depending on how you want to make it. And again, because it's sweet potato, you can go the savory route or just the straight route. Meaning, the savory route would have you would do a cashew cinnamon mayonnaise, and then fold in raisins and coconut, and then marinate and you slice it much thinner. You don't do the big cubes. You just do it much thinner and soak the potato in lemon juice and a little bit of white, wet, mellow miso. And do that for a day or day and a half, and it becomes soft. And then you fold in that lovely cold sauce with it, chopped celery, a little green onion, and you have sweet potato salad.
Great.
But it is a 2-day process to get the potato to break down.
Okay.
Because it's pretty hard.
That sounds like fun. Interestingly enough, we were at a raw restaurant here in Florida last night for dinner with Michael and Margaret, and he had a potato that tasted cook on the raw food bar, and I asked, is this a raw potato? He said, well, I soak it for a day or so in 104-degree water, and I was amazed at how it had broken down at 104 degrees. This was a regular white potato, and it had a little bit of crunch to it, but it was very much like a cooked potato. I was pretty surprised. I'd never seen that one before.
Yeah, and people do that in a yogurt maker because you can control the temperature in the water. So they're perfect when you have a yogurt maker that you could just set it. And because one of the things in the potato that you have to get out in the soaking and whatever, I don't care what kind of potato you're using, but especially the white potato, and you would go with one of the softer white potatoes, not like a russet. You would go with a white, which is a lower starch content, is you want to take out the starch. I mean, when you're making a really good French fry, one of the processes that a lot of people use is they soak their potatoes first in ice water, pulling out a little bit of that starch so the potato can crisp more. So it's just, like I said, it's a lengthy process. Well worth it, but a lengthy process. It's really hard without the yogurt maker or some kind of, to do it stovetop, it's to keep it at that 104 level. It's very hard to do it on a stove. You almost need either a big crock pot with that setting or something like that. But yeah, I've had it. It's very good, but it does take 2 days. But it does taste just like, I agree with you, it tastes like potato salad, a little different. And you could say it almost has like a, would you say more earthy taste, Michael?
Yeah, it was more earthy. It had a little bit of crunch to it, a little bit of it wasn't as soft as a cooked potato, but it was really awesome. I imagine you could do it in the dehydrator too, right?
If you soak, again, you do have to soak out that starch. But yeah, if you did that process and threw it in the dehydrator, you'd get like a little roasted nuggets. When you do like raw roasted potatoes with rosemary and olive oil, that's what you do is soak it first, and then you toss it, and then you put it in the dehydrator for a day, and you get like a little crust with the rosemary. And that's just a side dish, but you could easily just do that with the plain potato, add a little sea salt, and then dehydrate it and make a potato salad. And again, you would go back to your favorite, nut mayo.
Right. Well, imagine that you could also just seal a container, even if it were glass or whatever, with water in the potato. Once you've soaked it once, then you can put that whole thing in the dehydrator at 105 degrees and do your low level cooking.
That's true. I never thought of that. That would be a good idea. You just shove in a couple jars of take out the trays and shove it in there. It would give you your perfect temperature.
So there are a couple ideas for your raw potato salad. That's fabulous.
And you can also just, if you don't want to use a mayonnaise and you want to do it a lighter version, you could do like more like a German potato salad where you're going to slice it more like a potato chip, thinner, in the thin slices, not cubes, and then that'll dehydrate much quicker. And, you can do it with a fresh vinaigrette and just let it sit in the lemon juice and the vinaigrette. And put a little smoky paprika in it, and it'll give it a real nice smoke and almost like a bacony type taste.
Ari?
Yes.
Do you have a suggestion then? Like last year, we tried to do some dehydrated white potatoes, and they turned solid black, and they were so hard they almost broke people's teeth.
Yes.
So is that just dehydrating it too long, or what can we do to keep them from turning black?
Well, two things. One is we have to soak them first. Did you soak them first before you put them in the dehydrator?
No, I didn't.
That's kind of one of the big keys is you do have to soak it and get that starch out. The other thing is just a touch of vitamin C powder in with the water when you're soaking it will keep it from turning black. It'll stay snow white. The sorbic acid.
That'll be a good thing, too. We need to have somebody in the kitchen with you also taking down tips like that to expand upon the tips that we have in our recipe book.
Okay. Yeah, no, that would be a great thing.
Absolutely.
I would imagine you could put a little bit of citric acid in them if you didn't have the vitamin C, ascorbate.
Right. Same
citric
thing.
Acid,
exactly the same thing. It just keeps it from the potato is something that if you don't right away plunk it in cold water or plunk it, or put a little of that on there, especially in the dehydrator, they turn like a really disgusting black. And
it
also,
wasn't very nice. It ended up in the trash can.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It really doesn't. It almost over-oxidizes and becomes, the taste is terrible. The other real key in it is to use the fine slicing blade on your Cuisinart or whatever machine you're using. So you slice it really thin like a potato chip. So you can lay it out, very thin and do a thin layer. And then if you want, you can layer it and make like a potato galette, where you layer it and you put different things in the middle, roasted vegetables and a nice white, French kind of ramekin. And you set the whole thing with agar-agar, and it comes out like you cut it, and you can see like your layers of spinach and peppers and, ground olives. And then the ground olives go great because of the salt. And then you have your layers of potato in between. And then you can put, if you want, a little layer of pistachio cream or something in between. And when you chill it, it'll come out as a perfect mold, and you'll have this potato and vegetable terrine kind of thing, which is another thing we might do. I like to do terrines. So that's like I said.
Awesome.
When you said, "Oh, what am I going to make?" It's like, well, you look in the fridge, you see what came from the farmer's market. If we get great berries, we'll do tarts. Certainly, if we do get nice raspberries or something, we'll do really nice, like raspberry vinaigrettes, a creamy raspberry vinaigrette for the salads. We also have that source for great that Asian roll, which I think people will like. Jack's, and we can stir fry it's like 8 kinds of Chinese vegetables. So it's kind of endless. The problem is to make the chocolate where it's manageable.
Right. And then as well, this is something where everybody that's at that workshop is going to have the hands-on experience of, right? Like making a vegan barbecue.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool.
If you haven't had fresh roasted corn where the kernels kind of, pop, and you soak the corn in salt water first, which I always do, so that it gives it, when I do the raw and I soak it always. But this will do it soaked with husk on, so the husks are going to burn and actually smoke the corn. So we'll have smoky hot pre-salted corn, ready to rock and roll.
At the first family reunion, Jeannie and I are heading to her family's reunion July 4th weekend. At the first one, we took a case of corn, and it disappeared like, boom, gone. And it's now a demand. Everybody puts their order in. You're bringing corn to make salted, aren't you? And then we, of course, roast it instead of do it raw at the farm. It's awesome.
Yeah, no, roasted or raw if it's really fresh. Every day that a corn spends, once it's picked, the starch content goes up quite significantly. So if you have a fresh ear of corn and you bite into it, the sweetness and the juice is actually thin and sweet and milky-like, as opposed to if you have an old corn and you bite into it, you'll feel the starch. You'll really feel the difference because the starch just keeps developing even after picked. Well, it really develops after it's picked. So I don't know what is the corn sandwich?
And the protein disappears.
Yeah, it basically becomes a starch. Period.
Well,
3-week-old corn you buy in the market, it might taste sweet, but that's why you got to boil it, put butter on it, and all this other stuff because it's a far thing from when it came off the vine. Or the husk.
Michael, there's a lot of wind in your microphone. It's kind of louder than Ari is.
Hello?
We're here, Ari.
Okay.
He might have put it on mute. It was the wind. He's getting outside where it's quieter, and the wind was just like blowing right in his microphone. Does anybody
It is a little breezy out here today. So one of the other thoughts I have, Ari, is that maybe if you have anything a little bit to share, we talked about this at the show last week, but comparing a cooked food and then doing the same recipe, doing it raw. Talk just a little bit about that.
Well, it's night and day. People just don't realize. I mean, the one thing that I think most people would that they can, I would say, relate that to is if you've ever had stuffed cabbage and you've eaten coleslaw. It's coleslaw is your raw product with the cabbage, and after you stew and with the tomato sauce and whatever you're stuffing your leaves with, rice and herbs and different grains, it's that different. How does the cabbage taste? And you'll see with kale, which again I go back to only because I'm always amazed at the kale thing, and Dr. Timmel, he's the kale king now, so you almost have to have him come down just to make his kale salad. But anyways, you'll see the difference of what happens when you cook things, and you really change things, just drastically. And you can also see the difference of how it feels in your mouth of something, live and raw versus cooked. It's a whole different tactile experience, and even how it hits your taste buds, because you have X amount of taste buds and a certain ability to taste. And cooked food has a tendency to take up a bigger area than raw food. So you actually, because it coats it, your taste buds are slightly diminished because it sort of blankets it more. So you kind of have to clean it, actually, we all should eat slower, but eat slower because you actually have to clean it, as opposed to the raw food. Almost it tantalizes the taste bud, but it also acts as like a cleaning brush. So it actually, like when you're chewing the raw kale, it actually like cleans your tongue versus coating your tongue. So that's, I guess, a little bit of the difference. And then, like I said, people just notice. You'll see. Take a red pepper and then take a roasted red pepper, and again, you'll see day and night difference. And so we will explore that area.
That's awesome.
Well, I know that when I was up at...
Sorry.
Oh, go for the callers, Dean.
We've got 4 more callers. Does anybody else at Heartland there have another question before I go to the next caller?
Yes, I do. And Ari, I want to have in your anything about food combining, and if so, what kind? Specifically, I want to know about things that grow underground versus those that grow above ground, and how that affects our nutritional well-being, the combination.
I'm not sure I heard you because you're cutting in and out, but you said food that grows above ground or below ground. Was that the question?
Yes, it is. I've been in a program years ago where the recommendation was to only eat like a certain percentage of food that grows underground at the same time that you're eating the other. So, and there are various other food combining recommendations from other places, and I'm wondering what is yours, if you want.
Well, I think when you're dealing with, first off, the things that are underground are usually more dense. Potatoes, carrots, things that grow underground have a tendency to be much more dense than any leafy vegetable or that type of thing. As far as combining goes, you have to look at what it is under the ground. I mean, certainly food combining for a carrot is very different than a starchy potato. So I've never thought about it as things from underground versus above ground, other than the density of, things that grow underground. But I don't. As far as the food combining, it would be just like it is on the charts. I mean, things that are, beets that are very high in sugar. You're going to use the same rules as food combining for the sweet beet as you would for a sweet above ground item. So I would say it's not any different, other than obviously the product is very different. Like I said, density-wise, everything that's a root, what I would call a root vegetable, they're much more dense. But they are divided into things that are really sweet versus things that are not.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Have a blessed one, Joanne, and everybody at Heartland. We'll talk to you later.
I just buy that. Okay. Because it gets the mold off, too.
That's a different type of toothbrush.
Right. Okay.
Jeannie? You there? Michael? Jeannie?
I don't know if Jeannie's got her mute button on. We seem to have lost her voice.
Oh, okay.
Actually, yeah, I was sitting here talking to myself, apparently. Okay.
I was going to say the same as if you want bringing up root vegetables that are very delicious. If you dehydrate and just do beets, again, that same little vitamin C's or, any of the things, when you dip it, it actually retains its color and beet chips are absolutely delicious dehydrated.
We had a recipe. We didn't do it, so I don't have the recipe. Maybe you can come up one and teach us how. They did, what was that, Michael? It was like a smoked roasted beet in Vegas.
Yeah, they did they took beets, nice big giant ones, and sliced them paper thin, and then smoked them in a smoker, and they were awesome.
So they put it in a potato chip format.
Right, and they layered them and smoked them, and it was just fabulous.
Oh, we could do a smoked beet or a charred beet for sure. I was going to do, but if you want to do, we have to see what equipment we have is going to be the question, because that will limit us. But actually, a smoker is the easiest thing in the world. You just need a box and a little tin box with some wood chips, apple wood or hickory or something like that.
Well, we do have a smoker, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, great. But yeah, smoked beets, and some things, if the smoker, depending on what it is, you can do overnight, which you'll be amazed at. Like, if you have those giant beets, you can actually slow roast them like you would in a real barbecue. Put them up and roast them overnight, and in the morning you have fantastic 10-hour slow roasted smoked beet and other root vegetables.
Sounds awesome. Well, Jean, do we have another caller?
We actually have 3 more callers. The next one is area code 336.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
This is Paula Davis from Greensboro, and I just wanted to tell you that I met Ginger Armentrout this weekend, who said she came to Heartland, and I just told her I'd be sure and share that on the show.
Very cool. Well, we're glad to hear from you. We've actually talked with the Unity Church there about maybe doing something next week, but we haven't heard back from them. So keep an eye on our website. Something may come together for next Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday.
In Greensboro or Winston-Salem?
Greensboro.
Great. Well, I met Ginger. She said you
might put a call. Yeah, you might put a call in if you'd like to the Unity Church and just ask them if anything's happening, and that might prompt them to get back to us. Hopefully we'll set up a couple of things.
I will call them right now.
So do you have a question for us about food?
No, it just sounds awesome and wonderful. Wow. So
well, come and join us for the 10-day Food Fun Forgiveness and Work Project. And it's an economy program. The whole 10 days for this awesome food that Ari's talking about, and the accommodation. We'll be doing evening workshops and work projects during the day. The whole program is $750.
Wow.
Come and play.
And you're doing that where, in Heartland?
That'll be at Heartland. That's where Ginger came a couple of years ago. And it's in the Ozarks in southern Missouri. Maybe Ginger come with you. I know that she was very interested in the food program, and she might be ready for another level of that.
And where do you fly into?
Well, I think if I remember correctly, when Ginger came, she drove, but you fly into Springfield, Missouri.
Okay. Well, thank you.
All right. Delight to hear from you. Keep an eye on the website.
Okay.
Awesome.
Or if you want to go ahead and click on one of the email addresses on the website and give Jeannie your email address, we'll put you on the mailing list. So if it happens, we'll email you.
Okay. So what do I need to do now? Right? Anything?
If you just go to the bottom of the website, there's a link there to a Y-Again address. And just send Jeannie your address, name, and email.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, blessings. Bye-bye.
I just wanted to say, aside from the fun and everything else that goes on, and if there is callers that have been there, they should call in and just mention, because we've had a lot of fun. When you spoke of the value, I mean, if you think about going out to eat at a good restaurant for 3 meals a day, and combine that with workshops, this playtime, work and play and fun, is really one of the best values you can actually get. You get education on your heart, soul, and forgiveness, food, freedom, and fun, and you get a really nice, well-rounded, kind of loving environment with a lot of new friends you'll make, and you walk away with a ton more information on yourself, how you operate, and how to forgive, and how to enjoy and cook and play in the kitchen.
Yeah, in that 10 days, we're planning to do at least 2 MindShifters and Still Point breathing sessions. And I know last year we were looking at the average plate that came off the food bar and comparing it to a raw restaurant we were at in California, and figured out food would probably run between 100 and 125 a day if you ate in a restaurant, that quality of food.
And it's abundant. I mean, we do abundance there in variety.
And nobody goes hungry.
Yes, no one will go hungry.
Even the dyed-in-the-wool meat eaters say, oh, my God, if I could prepare food like this at home, I'd never eat dead animals again. And, when you think about it, death produces death. Life produces life. What are you going to put in your body?
We do have
So,
another
Jeannie, do you have another caller for it? Go for it.
786. You're on the air.
Hello, Ari and Michael and Jeannie. This is Julio talking from Miami.
Hey, Julio, welcome.
It's good to be listening in, but I'm getting kind of hungry here with all this juicing I'm doing.
You shouldn't be listening today.
Yeah, today is not the day to listen if you're on a juice fast.
Yeah, I know. This is 29 days today.
29 days, and since Julio's first workshop back in January, he's taken off 65 pounds.
I have to correct you, Michael. It's up to 82 pounds today.
Wow. 82. Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. I want to know something, though. All this great food that you're talking about preparing, are you going to be serving it at the intensive and at the teacher's training as well?
Absolutely, yes. We won't be doing the cooked food at the intensive, but we will be serving the food, yes.
We'll be serving the raw food, but we won't be doing the cooked portion.
Oh, I know that because I already did the intensive, but I'm sure you're going to be doing a whole lot of different new dishes, that are raw.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I was wondering if you were going to, if it was going to spill over into the intensive as well.
It should.
Ari, are you planning on staying on into the 9-day at all?
I don't know. Like I said, it depends on just that one thing I have. I could maybe go and come back, but I might have to. It depends on one thing. I have one date that might be ironclad. That's why I.
I'll keep us posted. That would be fabulous. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
I know that the last year, life hasn't given you any opportunities to learn forgiveness, Ari, so you may not need the intensive at all, but...
Yeah, no opportunities at all. Like most people, right?
Yeah, right. Denial, right?
Denial, right.
It's not a river in Egypt.
Right. You need to, you'd have a lot more people who would show up for the denial workshop. Because then they don't actually even have to show up. They can just go through denial.
Patricia sent us a cute cartoon the other day. Patricia from Fort Lauderdale, and it shows two lines at the bookstore. And there's one person in the line for self-help. And there's a whole lineup of people under the sign that says how to fix other people.
Yeah, that's about it. It's not me, it's you.
Yeah, if only they'd change, everything in my life would be wonderful.
Yeah, if it was that easy.
So, Julio, do you have another question or comment or anything to share about the forgiveness work that's gone hand in hand with the dietary work you've been doing?
Yes, Michael. I'm not going to be specific about the things that I'm working on, but I like to say that the food that I have been eating since February really, has enabled me to do this work. It's vitalized me and given me clarity, mental clarity, and the energy that I need to do this. I didn't have good work habits before to stick to doing such work, and this is enabling me to do it on a full-time basis. So that's why I'm getting all the wonderful results in my life.
Well, I remember that first workshop in January, and you came to me and said, this sounds really awesome, but I've done so many other things before. And let me just, before I register for the intensive, let me see if this is something I can actually do. And then it was just a few weeks, and he said, I'm on for the intensive. Let's do it.
Yes, absolutely. That's how it happened for me, and I wish more people would give it a chance so they can find out all the good things that can happen in their lives as well.
Yeah, I agree. And Michael, maybe you want to talk a little bit about my favorite thing is the vitality meter, about, you know, how that works.
He has an ambulance going by him out here, so he's waiting until it gets past because the siren is blaring. So, okay, he'll probably come on here in just a second.
Yeah, but
there we are. Yeah, it was screaming pretty loud behind us. But you know, what happens is that when people use food as a drug, the same as any other drug, they weaken themselves so they can hide things. And you can't change the things you've hidden from yourself. So when you engage in a really high vitality food program, it builds your level to the point where you can access things that yesterday weren't available. And that's how you work through them. You can't work through what's not available.
Yeah, the chocolate cake diet is not an enlightening diet.
That's for sure. So, Julio, anything else to share with us?
No, that'll be it. I'm looking forward to maybe meeting Ari and tasting great food out there. Well, I know I'm going to get great food anyway, but some of this new stuff we were talking about.
All right, so we'll see you in July. We look forward to it. Jeannie, you've got another caller?
Yes, and I believe you said, where did she go? I think it was Julie that she now disappeared off the screen.
Nothing like the refresh button.
Yeah.
Are we going to do any of the, the ground raw cacao for brownies and stuff like that, or?
I think we can do that, yes.
Because I don't know that we've done that down there yet, have we? Do we have it in the book, Jeannie?
We do have the Dem's brownies in the book. We haven't made them in several years.
Okay, I was going to say, yeah, I know we did a lot of chocolate stuff when, I can't think of his name right now. We brought down all that great chocolate and vanilla powders. Yeah, actually, I've got a couple of pounds
that I ordered of the cacao, so we'll be doing that.
Okay, great.
And if you haven't tasted raw chocolate with maple syrup as the sweetener, I just ordered a couple of gallons of maple syrup and the black rice and brown rice vinegar, and so we're getting the list going. And if there's anything else you think of, Ari, that you want to drop me an email.
Okay, and for sure we need agave, some raw agave.
Yes, we've got that.
Okay, because we're also going to be making, because it's going to be hot and it's work week, so we'll support whoever when we rotate in the kitchen. We'll also support by making some dynamite lemonades and maybe different revitalizing cocktails that we'll send out.
That sounds
so
fantastic.
The agave works very good. Like in lemonade, I think the agave is the best. Either the agave or, of course, there's the stevia sweeteners.
Right. Well, I know we've got some of both. We've got some raw agave, so that'll be cool.
Fantastic. By chance, I know that Michael makes. You did at least. Jeannie's. Who is it that makes the molasses? I know you made it one year.
Yeah, Michael and I make it with my parents.
Okay, it's phenomenal.
We have several quarts of that.
Okay, good. Cause for barbecue, that's one of the one of the key, nice thick blackstrap molasses when you baste off with a vinegar, and thin it out and smoke it and do a vinegar molasses glaze on things. Really pumps up your barbecue.
Well, we'll have some made by our own loving hands.
Well, there we go.
Awesome. Well, we're down to
What more
about
could you ask
4
for?
minutes. We're down to about 4 minutes. If anybody else has a quick call, 646-200-4169. In the meantime, Ari, can we do this again before the program begins?
Sure. We'll set up a date. I'm not in front of my calendar, but yeah, we can certainly do this again.
Awesome, because that's been a fast hour.
Very fast hour. Julie, come back on?
No, she didn't.
We miss you, Julie. Call us. Anyway, any final summation, Ari?
I don't know about summation. I as I said, if someone is looking for a time to get a new perspective on everything and be in a group, and everyone always speaks of the power of the group, and there's a lot to be said for that. Especially when you're first starting off doing your work, and even in the kitchen, alone in the kitchen, and you're not sure what you're doing, and you're not it's a different feeling. But when everything is there and you're constantly just absorbing, and the whole environment is everyone's there to work, change, bring out the loving side of themselves, live in love, and feel it. And you go from room to room, or you'll go from a work project to the classes to the kitchen, and the community will all be focused on that. And all the clutter and noise and fire engines and all the other stuff. When you're down at Heartland, you're just sitting on a bed of crystal, which you kind of are, and a lot of rocks. So come down and play, relax, unwind, and rejoice in life and peace on the planet.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first time I was at Heartland, and I didn't go off the property for 3 months. And when I was forced to go out into the unreal world, I realized how much I'd been able to kind of turn down the squelch, which let a lot more information in. And when I had to go into the city, it was just like, whoa, overload. Had to turn the squelch back up, but it's awesome to take the time to just get quiet.
We do have one more caller. They slipped in under the wire. Area code 517.
517, we got less than a minute here. Let's go for it.
I just have a quick question. I'm getting into the raw food. This is Tony, by the way. Getting into the raw food, just using a blender, but I'm looking to get a dehydrator. Do you have any recommendations?
Yes, if you go to eBay, there are a couple of stainless steel dehydrators that are pretty nice units that I forget what we paid. I think it was around $200, but they're really a nice unit, and they seem to stand up pretty well.
Stainless steel?
Yeah, if you send me an email, I'll look at it and send some information to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, Tony, have a blessed one. Everybody, bring a stranger to the show tomorrow. We've got a surprise. We've got a couple of folks who've been going through some relationship challenges, and they've both agreed to come on the show and share their process and do some work live. And so you'll get a taste on another level of how the tools work. In the meantime, have the best year of your eternal life.
Thank you for listening to MindShifters Radio with the Forgiveness Doctor, Dr. Michael Ryce, and his wife Jeannie, who present the internal Aramaic process of forgiveness. Michael and Jeannie are here every Monday through Friday on Earth Angels Radio. For more on Michael and Jeannie, please visit www.whyagain.com. That's www.whyagain.com.